Yo, what's going on? It's your boy, Mr. Fritz, and you are now rocking with the Apparel Behind the Beat series. I've been out of the beat making game for about 5-6 months now. You know, I finished the Glory like yesterday, and I was like, "Word, I'm about to get back into making beats again." Set up my free loop. Shouts to DJ Ryan Luck for taking all the viruses off my computer. I got like 300 gigs of plugins I wasn't trying to delete, so I have my mans clear it out for me and stuff. And this beat's like a celebration. I was feeling all happy, so you know, I went to my little sample stash. I found this sample, I Belong to You by the Love Unlimited Orchestra. You know, it's a real super soulful shit. You know, I really love the soul samples. I'll play a little bit of it, you know what I'm saying? They're so cool now. I ain't gonna play the whole thing, but you know, you can look it up on YouTube. So, even though in Fruity Loops you can have the sampler, which is called Fruity Slicer or whatever you want to use, you can have the auto chop. Me personally, I like to chop up my samples myself. You know, even though I might not use every part, you know, you'll never know what parts you might want to use for some type of variation. So I chopped it about 45 times, and in the actual beat, I probably use like 6 chops, you know what I'm saying? Let me just, so it was like, so that's like the chorus part. Then on the verse part, you know, I took like 2 parts from 2 completely different parts of the song. It's like this part. And then I took this part. I really fuck with those parts. They like contrasted each other because those 2 different tones or whatever. But I thought that would sound a little boring, so I threw like mad effects on it to make it sound all spacey and wavy and all that other shit. Cause that's what the young boys like these days. They like that space shit. So I took the main sample and I was like, pitched it up a little bit. Then did the same thing. With the flanger and the filter and all that shit. The bass really comes out and all that shit. Sounds all crazy. So I did the I Standard Producer Showcase about 4 or 5 years ago. And I didn't do very well because I didn't understand the concept of a good mix, making a mediocre beat sound like a great beat, or making a good beat sound like a great beat. You know what I'm saying? So I took my time to learn about the concept of frequencies. Now, one thing that's very important nowadays that you gotta know about is 808s. You gotta make them thump, but at the same time they can't be muddying up your whole mix. So I took a pretty standard 808. I believe it was from the Superstar O and Vibe kit. Shout outs to them. Vibe Beats is a really good producer. And I'm not super familiar with Superstar O, but you know, I'm using this 808, right? So he must be dope. So the 808 by itself, it's like, you know, it sounds like a regular ass 808. It's not very punchy or whatever, But that's why I took Decimort from once again, shout out to Elmine. Gave it a little bit more presence. You don't want to crunch your shit too much, because the purpose of boosting up your 808s and all that other stuff so it can show up in clubs, show up wherever, but at the same time you don't want it to muddy up your mix. I crunched it a little bit, but I didn't want to overdo it, but I still thought that there was more room to grow, so I used a plugin called R-Bass, which is Renaissance Bass. Now your 808 starting to, you know, come to life. But I only wanted it to be an undertone for my kit. So I took the regular parametric EQ2, and you know, I brought it back to size. I just used the first two plugins to bring it up, and then I used the EQ to balance it all out. Then what I did was I reduced the attack because I didn't want it to interfere with the actual kick. And I adjusted the decay and sustain and release or whatever so that when the kicks are close together, they don't clash, which is what you really want. Like, you want to control when the 808's done, so that when the next kick comes up, that one's done, and the next one could just come in without interference from the last one. Sorry about that, whatever that was. So when you put it together with the other kick, let me just mute these joints. So they work together like this. It's still heavy, but at the same time, it's like, you know, they don't interfere with each other. And you know, that's just for 808s and kicks and stuff. There's a whole lot more to it, obviously, but that's just what fit this specific beat. Now, when you're making beats, you know, I know a lot of producers, some producers, they just use one kick, you know, to make like 100 beats, and that's cool, you know what I'm saying? But it's in my philosophy that, you know, you should just understand how kicks, 808s, snares, and all that stuff, you should understand how they work in general, as opposed to just, you know, relying on one trick. You know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, we as producers, artists, engineers, whatever, we always want to grow. And if you understand how kicks in generals work, as opposed to just using one kick or using one standard, whatever you happen to use, you know what I'm saying, you'll never grow. Now you got your hi-hats. Shouts to Jungle Club, especially my man's Flexington Dom. He told me about this trick where he takes hi-hats and he runs them through a flanger, and it gives it like this weird effect. So it's like it's moving, but it's like it's mad different from like what you normally hear from hi-hats and shit. It's like weird, but it's like it fits in with the way I filtered the sample and shit. I got like 3 different snares on here. That one's kind of thin, so I had to layer it. And that one's just like to change the sound of the first one, and here's a thick one. You know what I'm saying? Put them all together, and what do you got? Fat ass snare. And of course you got the 808, which brings me back to Decimort. It doesn't sound like much, but it's just a undertone for the actual kick to make it sound fuller and stuff. But when you put it together in a mix, and when it's finally mixed together, you know, the 808 is really going to come out in the club environment because I gave it plenty of low tones and stuff. When I EQ it out of the sample, the low tone's going to cut through because I gave it that much presence. So, and remember, when you're doing sounds, it doesn't matter if a sound sounds bad by itself, it's how it sounds in context to the entire beat. That's what I learned when I started engineering last year. So, you know, and every boom bap, every down south beat gotta have the open hi-hat, so you know, I added that. What else I got? I brought some old school to this, so you're gonna hear this. Oh! Just cause I thought that shit was foolish. And we got the little rise effect, you know what I'm saying? That's because stole this from the Vibe Beats kit. And I did a clap just because I layered the fuck out of my snare. So let's just put it all together and what do we got? You know what I'm saying?
Be
boy, Mr. Fritz. Holla at me. The glory coming this winter. Holla at you, boy.